Final Fantasy VII is currently being redeveloped at Square Enix. You know, the remake. It's not gonna be an actual remake, it's gonna be a reimagination of the original. So that means a lot of things are not gonna be the same. There are chances that things that you liked will not be in the final version of the game. There are also chances that things you absolutely hated will be amplified. We don't know exactly what will happen. Well, you don't, I do. So this is the top 7 Final Fantasy VII Remake changes from the original, or something more friendly to the search algorithms on YouTube. Now, I'm not saying that these will absolutely happen, but there's a good chance they will, they should, and that they're inevitable up to a certain point. And if you're thinking I'm joking, well, yeah, I am, but don't tell anybody else. If you're gonna give them a link, skip over this part of the video. Let them believe it's actual insider info. They'll go nuts. It'll be funny, I promise. That being said, number 7. Mr. T will be playing Barret. This isn't really what you would call a big surprise. Barret is basically Mr. T. So what would be better than actually have him being played by Mr. T? And not in the way that Mr. T will just do the voice of Barret. No. We're talking about full character integration. Since Barret was already Mr. T, go all the way. Have every fourth line he says be a pitted fool. Have him be afraid of flights and you having to go on a quest to find some sedative to actually knock him out to get him on a plane or on the airship. Technically that would be more of a B.A. Baracus thing, but honestly, Mr. T in the A-team as B.A. Baracus is Mr. T, as we all know and love him. So that interpretation of him in Final Fantasy VII as Barret should probably be the default. This has to happen. It's gonna happen. Who doesn't like Mr. T? He's awesome. Number 6. They'll remove the RTS part. Now, if you don't remember what I'm talking about, there was a mountain at one point in the game with a giant bird on it with a phoenix egg. I don't remember if the bird actually comes back ever, or is explained. But to defend that mountain, you don't just go out by yourself with you yourself, Mr. T, Tifa, the dog, and everybody else to fight the entire army. No. You command an actual army of units in a very awkward, slow, not really all that great strategy game. One it sort of makes Dune 1, the game that wasn't a strategy game, seem better. So they'll probably remove it. I mean, it's pointless. Instead, they could have giant cinematic, one where you will see clashing armies, striking each other with fierceness, ferocity, explosions. And because it's gonna have to fill time, so it'll be the same length as the RTS bit, it's gonna last for 5 hours. Number 5. Chocobo Tuning. Yeah, Chocobo breeding was fine for its time, but since then, people have started associating something else with racing. I mean, since the time that Final Fantasy VII came out and the present, we've had the tuner craze fully invade video games. It started out mostly because, honestly, of the Fast and the Furious games, which translated into a different kind of racing game on the PC and consoles through, the Need for Speed Underground games, and that just made people want to put spinners on everything, chrome wheels, and spoilers, and hood scoops, and roof scoops, and scoop scoops, and tinted vinyl windows. So this is gonna be a part of the game now, of Final Fantasy VII. You're not just gonna breed chocobos so you'll get, your yellows, greens, blacks, golds. You'll also get Pearl Essence chocobos if you spray them right. You can put a spoiler now on your chocobo to make it more aerodynamic. You'll be able to have chrome plated rims on your chocobo. Now, doesn't that sound just amazing? And spinners too, you have to have spinners and xenon headlights. And Little John and the West Side Boys on the background singing Get Low. The censored version, because the full uncensored version of that song is disgusting, horrifying, horrible, and in general, you kind of have to wonder why they even put it in Need for Speed. My god, that song is filthy. Though the censored version does sound actually quite nice. Also, you'll be racing for pink slips in the Gold Saucer Underground. They may also be Chocobo cops trying to bust you because it's illegal. Number 4. Vincent becomes even more emo. Now, when the first version of Final Fantasy VII came out, Vincent seemed like a really cool dude. He had that sort of, I may be a vampire Frankenstein mummy monster, maybe I'm some sort of super genetic experiment that went wrong and I am mysterious and dark and a bit brooding, but I am cool. And then he sort of became extremely emo in his own game and in Advent Children, so they kind of have to continue on that path and make him even more emo. But it will not be enough to simply display his emo-ness through behavior and through dialogue and through appearance. They're gonna have to implement it into the gameplay, so Vince is gonna have a new limit break where he just stands in front of the enemy and complains that nobody understands him, that he's dark and brooding and nobody gets him, and then the enemy will either beat the living crap out of him, ignoring the rest of the team, so everybody else is going to have a free attack on the enemy, or the enemy's gonna ignore him and go away. Also, Vincent's now gonna have a DeviantArt account and a Tumblr where he posts Sonic fanfic and complains that Diablo 3's color palette is too bright. Number 3. Yuffie will be removed. Now, here's something that you may not actually know. After Yuffie was added to the game in the final version, of course, she was the subject of a public clinical trial that covered about 20,000 people over the course of around 7 years, and the result was that she was annoying as hell and people just wanted her to shut up and leave. Now sadly, this result came a bit too late, so Square Enix wasn't able to react in time and not have super annoying dumb characters in their games. Reasons for which Titus did make it into Final Fantasy X and caused a lot of victims, but they sort of did hint at the idea that at one point they may have foreseen this incident, so they had actually split up the character known as Zelfie from Final Fantasy VIII into two characters called Zell and Selfie, neither of which was as annoying as the original Zelfie would have been. But this won't actually work that well with Final Fantasy VII since they already have a tight-knit cast. Adding one more character, well technically two more characters, to it would not really fit, even though there was a plan to have a character called Yuffie and one more called Fluffy. Fluffy would have actually sort of clashed with Kate Sid a bit, so they're just gonna scrap the entire character. No more Yuffie. I call that a win. Number 2. Cloud's gonna be replaced by Zack. You know, since Vincent will already sort of fill up the emo quota of the game, there's really no point in having Cloud Strife in it. So we're just gonna have Zack Fair be the main character of the game. There won't actually be much of a change, since at the beginning Cloud already believed himself to be Zack, and there'll still be kind of the same relation with two of the three main romantic interests. As you remember, in the original game, one of them was a childhood friend, the other one sort of looked at the main character and saw similarities with someone they used to know. That won't change, only it's gonna be reversed. Tifa's gonna see someone in Zack that she used to know, Cloud, and Heiress would have already known him. And the personality split thing is still gonna be there. There's gonna be a bit of Cloud's personality-ish, memory-ish in Zack, and force him to give the materia to Sephiroth twice, but the end result will sort of be kind of the same, only again with a less emo main character. And number 1 is the Heiress Lives DLC. For just $40.99 extra bucks, you will have the possibility of keeping Heiress alive. The moment you buy that DLC and you see Sephiroth just falling slowly with its sword outstretched, you're ready to impale poor Heiress. Since you're not playing as Cloud but Zack, who has hundreds of powers at his disposal, yeah, he's gonna stop that like in a flash, no worries, no problems, and Heiress won't die. Or if they're gonna keep the same cinematic, because it is kind of iconic and beautiful in its own way, instead of Zack dunking her, drowning her, murdering her completely in that lake, he's gonna use the Phoenix Down. They cost 300 gil. It's not expensive. You can sell an all materia at a master level and make over 1 million gil. It's not that hard. You kind of have to wonder, why are people dying in this world anyways, since you have the secret to immortality in a bottle, unless the turn-based combat takes place in a sort of parallel existence where death is sort of, maybe they're all mind battles. Maybe when people are fighting, they're doing it in their minds, or they're fighting with their spirit. And the Phoenix Down is meant to rejuvenate the mind and the spirit, but not the actual flesh. In which case, you kind of have to wonder, why is a giant snake fighting some jackoffs looking for a chicken? Gotta mention, this wasn't my idea, but it's a great one. Don't you think so? I mean, it is. Well, that'll be it for the top 7 changes being made to Final Fantasy VII that were not in the original. I'd like to give one special mention to the scene in the group room of the Honeybee Inn. This time it'll be interactive, and it'll have 4 dudes minimum at the same time, guaranteed. That is, of course, unless the game gets cancelled, which it has. It's you're not gonna be seeing it in the next 8 years, and if you do, it will be after it already cost about $600 million minimum and bankrupted Square Enix, and you'll probably see it on a show about that game's no one played. Goodbye.